So I invite you now to just allow the words of that melody to lull you into a space of comfortability and just relax for the next few moments. Quieting your mind, relaxing your body, opening your consciousness and your awareness to a deeper presence of the divine that is within you and all around you. So as we begin, I invite you to take a deep, refreshing breath. Just sit back in your seat and release any tightness, any tension in your body. And make a conscious decision to set aside all of your cares and concerns, all your worries, all your plans. Just completely set it aside for the next few moments. And enter into that space where the divine blesses you and heals you and inspires you and reminds you that you are much more than you've ever perceived yourself to be. You're stronger, more courageous, more healthy, more faithful. Than you ever deemed yourself to be. As you identify with that in your mind, for the next few moments, in the silence of your own being, just let it be. There is only one presence and one power. And for that grand reality, may we be ever so grateful. Amen.
All right. Morning again, everyone. And a shout out to everybody who tunes in and watches us online. So how many people have an area in your life that's not clicking, rocking, or working as well as you'd like it to? Anybody have one of those? How many people would not only like that area to get better, but you'd like to have a happier and more successful 2017? Well, a great year. But how many people would like to go even deeper and live a more awakened, a more enlightened, and a more masterful life? Who would like to have that experience? Could you imagine living life as masterfully as Michelangelo painted, as masterfully as Shakespeare wrote, as masterfully as Mozart composed? To live as intentionally, to live as insightfully, to live as soulfully. Can you imagine what your life would look like if you showed up in a more masterful way? More masterful in your work, more masterful in your relationship, more masterful in the way you just interacted with life. You know, as we begin a new year, there's always this extra impulse to have a great year, set goals, improve our lives, achieve greater things. And all of those are great and wonderful, but the question always is how? How do I become more successful? How do I become more awakened and more masterful in the way that I am living my life? And to be masterful living starts with understanding how life works. You ever had a time where you just didn't have a clue and you couldn't figure out what to do or how to figure it? Okay. And have you ever kind of figured it out at times? You knew what to do and you still didn't do it? Anybody? You know, I think sometimes we all have some patterns and behaviors and actions that aren't really working for us, but we keep doing it hoping we'll get a better result. Anybody get? Okay, so 4 of us. That's good. Good. So sometimes it's the thing about being human is sometimes we don't want to follow the rules. Sometimes we want to do it our way. We don't care the way it is. We want to do it another way. Sometimes we can be really stubborn. And it kind of reminds me of my favorite bad joke about this guy who wanted to cash a $100 check. And so he goes to the teller in the bank and says, okay, I'd like to get $100 for my check, and then I'll give you my check. And he said, and the teller says, no, you have to endorse it, give it to me, and then I'll give you the $100. He said, no, I want you to give me the $100, then I'll endorse the check and give it to you. He said, sir, that's not the way it works. He said, well, I'll find it where it does. So he goes to the second bank, does the same thing. I'd like $100, and then I'll sign and give you the check. Nope, the way it is, you endorse the check, then I'll give you the $100. That goes on, 3, 4, 5 different banks. Finally, the 6th bank, he goes, does the same thing. Hey, I'd like $100 for this. And this teller's having a hard day. She's a bit cranky and just run her last nerve. So she explained to the guy, no, you got to endorse it, then that's the only way it's going to happen. He's back and forth going. Then she gets so irritated, she reaches underneath, grabs a 2x4, and whacks him in the head. So he endorses the check, gives it to her, and he gets $100. So a couple of weeks later, he goes back to his regular bank, the first bank, and the lady said, hey, so how'd that thing work out? Did you get your $100? He said, yeah, how'd you do it? He said, well, I signed it over, I gave her, and then she gave me the $100. I said, isn't that what I told you? And he said, yeah, but you didn't explain it quite as clearly as she did. And so, so sometimes in life, you got to get smacked with a 2x4 to figure out, hey, this isn't the way it works. I got to get in line and start living my life along the principles I know. And the truth is, life works on spiritual laws. It just does. That's how life works. And to be aware and to use them, that's how life becomes better. You know, I've been reading a book by Roger Teal, who is the spiritual director at the Mile High Church in Denver. And he wrote a book called This Life is Joy. This life is joy, and it's about discovering the spiritual laws of life to help you live a more empowered, powerful, loving life, and to open a way to live more masterfully. To live more masterfully. And so, as a foundation for this book, and we're going to do a 9-week series on this, to live more masterfully, he tells a story to give some context for us to understand how that process really works. And so he tells a story about this guy who really who had a drive. He was a seeker for more success and fame and abundance and achievement. He achieved all that. And then there was a point he just wasn't feeling a sense of joy. He's feeling kind of hollow and empty and realized, there's got to be more than this. Something more meaningful, something deeper. And he heard about this awakened great spiritual leader. And he decided to take the 2-week trek to go to the mountainous area to visit with this great sage. And he finally got there, and she's sitting with a hooded a hood on and in front of a fire, and he comes towards the sage and the fire, and he just drops on his knees, and he begins to cry and pour his heart out. And then she takes her hood off, and he just feels this wonderful, feminine, loving energy that has an ageless wisdom. And interestingly, instead of telling him what to do, she invites him into a challenging situation that will challenge him beyond anything he's ever done before. That he would be placed in a situation that he'd have to find his way out of, and that it would force him to see life and to approach life in a whole new different way. So he's a little excited and he's a little scared too, but he thought, compared to his life that isn't feeling fulfilling, he may as well dive into it. So she touches his head and he goes into this other reality and goes down this corridor, and he's dropped in this hard ground, and he's in this dark cave, this cavernous, dark, quiet area. And then he comes to, and then he just starts his process, trying to find a way out. So he's looking at all the walls, he's touching everything, and just feeling his way around. Then he gets really exhausted, and he's tired, and then some food magically appears, and he eats the food, and it sustains him. And then day after day, he gets lost in finding a way out. Looking at the ceiling, looking every nook and cranny. I mean, there was every inch of that place he was going. And day after day, not finding it, getting angrier, getting more irritated. His fingers are hurting, he's all bruised. And then the cave is dark, but over time, if things not working out, inside of him got even darker. He hit a level of anger and frustration and upset that things weren't working out that way. He railed against God, he railed against the sage, even started hating himself, thinking, I am so stupid to have accepted this dumb challenge. It's not working now, I'm in this living hell, I hate this. And he pounds on the ground and he bawls and he just cries, and he's just laying there feeling completely empty. And after a couple hours, he realizes that's the first time he's felt any peace since he entered the cave. And in that quiet, he realized that the problem wasn't with the cave. That suddenly the cave got smaller and his light got bigger. And he began to continue to meditate more and more, and he realized that he thought he was in the cave, but the cave was really in him. And as he awakened and became more connected to his light, the confinement of the cave really wasn't there at all. And as he prayed and as he spent more time there, he expanded, and boom, he was right next to the sage in front of that fireplace. And it's an analogy saying that every one of us are seekers. We want a better life. We want something deeper and more meaningful. But the truth is, the journey is that we are all in a cave. We're all in a situation where we feel our progress is being blocked, where we're being limited. But even in those problems and challenges, there is an opening. There are openings to greater insight and higher realization and inner actualization that's available to each and every one of us. But the key is we need to be masterful in our relationship with whatever cave that we are facing. It's not about trying to change the cave. It's trying to be more masterful in our awareness and expand ourselves more than the particular situation or cave or limitation that we think we're experiencing. So my question for you is, what cave are you stuck in? What situation, what person, what condition do you feel is blocking your progress and your happiness? And like that cave, there are openings that are not of being aggressive and angry and forceful, but it's about expanding our inner awareness and awakening and living in a more masterful relationship with the things in and around us, because then we go from resistance to transcendence. Then we move from searching to becoming, from running and attacking to expanding and awakening. So for the next 9 weeks, we are going to look at what we need to do to expand ourselves and to live a more masterful life and to realize that this life is joy. And the two things we're going to look at are the foundations of life, and that is love and light. You know, in the Bible, it tells us it's a whole book about love. God is love, and those who live in God live in love, and God lives in them. The greatest commandment is to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And the second commandment is to love others as ourselves. And we've all heard that. We all believe that. But there's a quote by Ernest Holmes that brought my awareness to love at a whole different level. And here's what he said. Love is the central flame of the universe. Nay, it is the very fire itself. The essence of love, while elusive, pervades everything. And what he's saying is that God is love and God created everything, which means that love is in all creation. That love is everywhere, that we live and move and have our being in love, that love is the only reality, that everything in life is love. So the last couple of days I'm doing my meditation and I'm starting to think about this. Everything in life is an expression of love. So I'm out in my backyard meditating and the sun's shining on my face and I'm thinking, wow, the sun is an expression of God's love. The sky is an expression of God's love. The cloud is an expression of God's love. The rain is an expression of God's love. The mountains are an expression of God's love. The trees and the birds. And I'm thinking, wow, that life is supporting me with this loving world that I'm in. That love is everywhere. I came in my house and I looked at my walls and I thought, these walls in this house are an expression of God's love. The electricity, the heat that was on, my Keurig coffee machine is an expression of love. My Bose wireless speaker is an expression of love. My Christmas tree that's still up that I need to take down is an expression of love. I just looked at my house and everything in it, my environment, and it's all an expression of love. That we live and move and have our very being in love. Love is the thing we're all yearning and aching for. It is the most powerful thing. We want to love and be loved at the deepest and most profound level. Emmett Fox says that if you could only just open your heart to love, you'd be the happiest and most powerful person in the world. Because there ain't nothing that love can't heal. There's no closed door that enough love will not open. There is no life that enough love will not fill with joy. So everybody believe that? Love's the greatest thing, the most powerful thing? So here's the little kicker. Here's where we get in trouble. Because as much as that love is everywhere, and we all love and made in love, is that most of us believe that love is outside of ourselves. That love is distant and absent from ourselves. That we treat love like a commodity in our culture. That you have to earn it. That you have to work for it, to get it, to attain it. You need to please people and act the way they want you to so that they will like you. That we want people's validation. And we will demand love, we will manipulate for love, we will lie, we'll do whatever we can to get love. And even if we act needy or manipulative or codependent, that's how much we want love. And the unfortunate thing is, it's because there's a belief because there's not enough love in my life. Because love isn't here. Love is separate from me. And what happens when we do? When we fight for the love and can't get it, we get angry and jealous and push people away and close our hearts off. I bet every one of us in some way thinks there's an area in my life where I'm just not getting enough love. There's just not enough love. Or I want more love. And so the reality is we live and move and have our very being in love, but we have this illusion that love is separate from us. So there are two things that we need to do. Remember when it says in Luke 17, the kingdom of God is within you? Well, if God is love, then the kingdom of love is already within us. It's about awakening to it. It's about opening ourselves to enjoy and realize that love is everywhere. The music that Daniel sang is an expression of love. The chair you're sitting on is an expression of love. That everything in your environment is actually supporting you in a way that is so loving and nurturing to you in your life. Even someone that's ticking you off and pressing your buttons, that's an expression of God's love for you. Why? Because they're trying to grow your heart to a greater level of compassion and understanding and wisdom. Sometimes the people in our lives that challenge us the most are there to help us set better boundaries, to be more honoring of ourselves, to be more caring and respectful of who we are. Everything in your life is an expression of love. And the question is, are you willing sometimes to pause and just take that in, that I live and move and have my very being in God's love? That there is no lack of God, there is no lack of love at any moment in life. It's, are you willing to awaken and be aware of that truth? And then the second thing is, if the kingdom of love is within us, that means there's no lack of love for us because it's already in us. Let me ask you a question. In what way in your life are you not loving and nurturing and caring of yourself as much as you know you could? And how would you be willing to express more love to yourself, more care, and be more nurturing to who you are? Because sometimes we withhold love even from ourselves. Sometimes we will beat ourselves up and be brutal if we don't do things well, instead of being more kind, more gentle, more loving, and supportive of ourselves. If we want our lives to be more masterful, we have to be aware that we live and move and have our being and have been created in the image and likeness of love, but we need to open our hearts and allow that love to be felt. C.S. Lewis, the great Christian writer, he said the only condition to love is you got to be willing to be vulnerable, to just open your heart and let yourself feel God's love. Everyone, just take a deep breath. And can you just open your heart? And it sounds silly, but we consciously open our hearts. We can do that. And just let yourself feel that love of God. To know that you are made in the image of love, that you are created to love, to experience love, to express love. I am an expression of God's love. Together, I am an expression of God's love. I am created in the image and likeness of love. Together, I am created in the image and likeness of love. I am love and I am loved. I am love and I am loved. I love to be loved. And I love to love. Because I'm an expression of God's love. Together, I am an expression of God's love. If our lives are to go anywhere in terms of being more awakened, enlightened, or masterful, it begins with love. Are an awakening to our awareness that we live and move and have our being in love, and to cultivate and open our hearts to be more vulnerable, first to accept our own love, and then to allow ourselves to be loved by others. You know, sometimes when we think love is outside of us, the next consequence that sometimes happens is that we don't actually value and see who we really are. We don't acknowledge the truth of ourselves. Many of us have been taught that we are far less than we really are. We've been taught that we're unworthy, that we're not smart enough, not good enough. That we tend to identify ourselves with our past history and our mistakes and our circumstances, our regrets, our fears. We identify ourselves with as much education or as little education as we have, or our jobs, and we begin to label ourselves in so many ways, and we label other people. You know, that guy's a jerk, or so-and-so, I can't stand that person. We have all kinds of people in our lives, and we are constantly judging us and them because we can't see the truth. Just like we can't see the love, we can't see the truth of who each other is. And who are we? The Bible says it over and over again. You are the light of the world. You are created in the image and likeness of God. You are the temple of the living God. You are whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. That you are a unique expression of God. That your nature is divine. That you might be in a physical form, but you are a spiritual being in that physical form. That are wondrously made with more beauty and talents and genius in you than we could even imagine. That's the truth of who we are. Yet, we can't see it, and we identify with the worst, with the flaws, with the what isn't working, what we don't like, what isn't enough. And so the question is, who are you? And who do you identify yourself as? Because it's beyond your name, it's beyond your job and your family history and whatever mistakes you've made. So who are you when you stand in the image and likeness of God? Who are you when you get out of the way and let Spirit shine through you? Who are you when you let God be God in you? And so for our lives to change, we need to stop labeling and speaking the untruth of who we are and owning our real nature and our identity. That I am the light of the world. I am an expression of God. I am the temple of the living God. And you know the way we identify more with our light than with our mistakes and our shadow sides and the difficult things is by entering and centering on the light more frequently and consistently. You know why Jesus prayed in the morning and midday and afternoon and evening and night? Because he kept centering with the light. And when he came back into regular life, he was able to see his light, allow it to shine, but also see that light in others. The more we connect to the light, we more feel the light, and we more are able to express that light. I am the light of the world. Let's say that half voice together. I am the light of the world. I am God's beloved child. I am God's beloved child. I am whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. I am whole, complete, and lacking nothing. I am the temple of the living God. I am the temple of the living God. I am a unique expression of God. I am a masterpiece. Or I am the light of the world. And that's the truth of who we are. And again, if we want our lives to break through to a higher level of mastery and enlightenment, we need to begin to connect and identify with the truth of who we are on a consistent and regular basis. And we also need to be able to see that light in other people. So everyone, I want you to think about someone you have a conflict with, that you dislike, you can't stand. Anybody have somebody like that in their life that you just... So I just want you to think of that person for a second and take a deep breath. And let's say half voice together, this person is the light of the world. Together. This person is the light of the world. This person is God's beloved child. This person is God's beloved child. This person is whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. This person is whole, complete, and lacking. Take a deep breath, open your heart in love, and then send them blessings of peace, joy, and love. Because they are whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. They are the light of the world. They are the temple of the living God, just like us. Seeing ourselves as the light and seeing the light in others takes work. It takes intention. It takes effort. But sometimes I don't think we realize the power and impact that shining our light in others' people and seeing it in them can really make. I think many of you know that I was paralyzed in a car accident many, many years ago. It was Canada Day back in '83. And it was a holiday, so there weren't a lot of cars. It was a single highway in each direction, and farm and grass area, not a lot of people around. And the car went out of control, and I got hit by the car and thrown, and my back was all raw, it was bloody everywhere. And I didn't know at the time, but I fractured my spine. But the thing is, I'm laying there in pain, and some guy, I guess, had stopped and come over, and I'm laying there in the field in pain, and he leans over to me, and he grabs my hand, and he said, everything is going to be okay, kid, everything's going to be okay. I'm going to stay with you. You know, someone went to call the ambulance, you're going to be okay. So he's there kind of trying to comfort me and stuff, and I'm in so pain. I got my eyes closed, and he said, so what's your name? I said, I'm Richard Maraj. Where do you live? I live in Hamilton. What day is it? It's July the 1st, Canada Day. So the pain's getting worse. I'm squeezing his hand. He's so sweet in there. And I guess, you know, that thing they say about if you shouldn't go unconscious or some kind of thing like that, you should. So a guy, 2 minutes later, he says, so what's your name? I said, it's Richard Maraj. What day? I said, it's July the 1st. I live in Hamilton. So the pain's getting worse, squeezing my hand. He's so sweet and nice and being there. And about 2 minutes later, he said, what's your name? I said, man, I said, it's Richard Maraj. So can you go talk to someone else for a bit? And so about 15, 20 minutes, the ambulance comes, and they put you, even on July 1st, they put you in blanket, they wrap you up in the thing, and they put it, and they're just putting me into the ambulance. And I look up, and I see the guy. And he's standing there, gives a little fist as if to say, hang in there, kid. It's going to be all right. Doors closed. Went to the, hospital and so on and so forth. Never saw that guy again. Don't know his name, nothing about him. And yet that man touched me in an amazing way. He touched me with his light, with just a little bit of care and taking time to help a little kid that was hurt and that was scared. I don't think all of us realize the difference of our words and our kindness, and just seeing someone where they are, having compassion for their pain, or maybe encouraging them, or helping them believe in themselves, or affirming them. But every one of us are beings of light. We all yearn for love, to express the love, to feel the love, and to share the love. And it's so important for us to work. And mastery is about letting go of the illusion to live the truth. That we live in love, that we are created in love, that we're beings of light, and we need to see the light in ourselves and others. The fact is, love by ourselves doesn't work as well. We need each other. I needed that guy. He needed me. We need each other. The people that come into our lives for moments, as well as the ones who are there every single day showing up. We need to see the light in them and share that light with them. We all want to live our lives masterfully, and it takes work. As somebody once said, I love life. The only thing I don't like about life is that it's just so daily. Being masterful is not about getting to a certain level and putting it in cruise control. Being masterful is showing up every day. It's being willing to open your heart at every moment, during every relationship and every situation. Is it about willing to see the light in ourselves and see that light in others and to share that light consistently, and to let go of the judgments, to let go of the limitation, to let go of the idea that love's outside of us, and to live and move and have our very being in that love and light. This week, as we begin this 9-week journey together, let us make a commitment to connect with love and the reality that love is the only reality. We live in it, and it's in us. And let us nurture ourselves and let that love flow. And let us know that every one of us is a being of light. Yes, we have some dark areas and make mistakes, but let's spend more time focusing and identifying with our light rather than our weakness and our darkness, because that is how we open the door to being masterful and to truly discover that this life is joy. God bless you all.